welcome to Rooted and Grounded, where faith meets everyday life. I'm Acacia.
And I'm Shauna, and here we discuss our sermons. And today we have one of my favorite sermons, Rise, Slay, Eat. Instant classic for me. So I've watched this sermon several times by Sarah Jakes Roberts. I think it was like, it's an oldie but goodie, August of like 2022, but it's so impactful.
No, I said, oh, wow, you remember when it was posted. Look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, nah, because it was like really life changing for me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say I was still living in New York. I was on the cusp of deciding whether or not I was going to relocate. And, she dropped a lot of jewels in there that really helped me make my decision. So,
Okay.
what did you think about
The
the
sermon
sermon?
discuss, sorry, I know the sermon definitely discusses a lot of, I guess, transitions in a way. So hearing or knowing that you have to make a move and being able to make that move when you hear God say move is a big thing. She talked about being stuck and being stuck based off of like your family and being good enough, like they say, like you've already surpassed what your family has done in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you
Yeah.
should be looking to do anything more, anything additional because you've already succeeded or passed necessarily where they've been. And you can't hesitate to make another step or to make another move when God tells you to because he's going to protect you and carry you the whole way through.
Yep. So I think the sermon, and I usually don't remember like scriptures, it's like Acts 10 verses like 9 through 19. And this is again, just tells you how much that I really enjoy the sermon because that stuff usually
I was
never stays with me.
you remember the Bible?
Yeah.
Did
Nah.
you?
Yeah. Nah. Because he's talking about Peter, and
Hmm?
Peter is in this like place where he think he's doing like God's business, and then he hears like this voice from God, and the voice that he hears and the message that he hears contradicts everything that he's used to. So it's like, wait a minute, like you're telling me, I think Peter, let's say, was a vegetarian, right? To summarize, he's like a vegan vegetarian, and God is telling him to like rise and like kill an animal because Peter is like hungry, right? Peter's like starving. And so God gives him an answer, and it's not the answer that he's expecting to hear. And so Peter is conflicted because he's like, that's, I've never done anything like that before. Like, it's difficult for me to do that. I've never done anything like what you're telling me. And so then it kind of goes into doing something like you said, stepping out of your comfort zone, right? Doing something that's abnormal to what you feel is who you are as a person, and then just following what God tells you to do. And you may not understanding in the moment, but understanding over time
Mhm.
what that meant, and really big on revelations and sharing that revelation with the world.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of that. It actually, I had a dream last night, so it all kind of intertwines. Just bear with me, okay? So
Hmm.
I had to, I went to Clark, so for graduate school, so I had to go back there for my current job, right? I went there to talk to a girl. I'm not really sure what we had to talk about, but I had a meeting in placement in my head where the student center is. Um, I walked in. I had a meeting with the girl and her father. Me and the girl walked out. Walking out, everything is placed differently, but just roll with me. It's not a quad area, but it's more like just a walkway, a pathway. But it was in my dream, it was shaped like a quad area. People were gathered, and they were gathered. I don't remember if they were chanting or if they were singing, but they were praising God. right? And so in my dream, I'm right with them, hand raised, like my hand up, I'm in tears, right? In it, right? So the girl goes, "Oh my God." This, well, not oh my God, but basically like, "Oh no, she brought her grandmother here. Her grandmother, she brought her grandmother here because God said to bring her grandmother, and her grandmother was going to be able to walk if she brought her to this place." And her grandmother were in there, we were chanting and singing and praising God, but she was not walking. So I'm like, oh man. And it's like everybody kind of was like, everyone was starting to lose faith, right? Lose faith in
Mm-hmm.
the process. So I turned away and I looked at the building and I saw the girl's father walking out of the building. And when I to turn away to see that, everyone was in disbelief because now the grandmother started to walk. She got up and now while she was walking, I was looking at her feet. She was skipping. And so for that, I'm like, a couple of things. So kind of what you're saying, like when God tells you this is what you do, or he gives you what your vision is supposed to be, you go and do it. Right. And not only did he fulfill it, but when you thought all hope was gone, he not only fulfilled it, but he over fulfilled. I don't know how to say it, but over fulfilled. Like the grandmother didn't wasn't able to just walk. She was skipping, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's not what you should be respecting. That skipping is a higher level than just an older woman being
Right.
able to walk.
Right.
And then how you said people are going to bear witness, waiting for the father to come out was basically everyone is going to be able to witness what God has done and is doing for you. So I got all of that
Mm-hmm.
in my dream, and I'm like, wow, like it's like when you get frustrated or if you feel like last minute, like I'm about to give up hope or this is not what I'm supposed to do, God is reinforcing like, no, you are supposed to do this. I gave this to you for a reason. The girl had that word, like this is what she had to do and this is what she was supposed to do. She brought her grandmother there to be able to walk again. Well, I don't know this backstory, walk again or walk, but
Mm-hmm.
and Faith was kind of like, oh, okay, now we here, what something like
Right.
it happened. So it's also like not to get weary in whatever you're waiting for, because when
Mm.
God promised you something, it's gonna happen. So it kind of
Ooh,
ties
that's
in
good.
sermon when I was listening to it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is all like comes together. Uh, you know,
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I know.
That's that's deep. And then also like with your dream, that kind of reminds me of also part of the sermon when they say, you have to share your revelation, right? Like your revelation is not meant to just be for you. You have to, you know, share the revelation. When she says like one, because one can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to share your revelation. So the father seeing, or the fact that in your dream that it happened in church and the grandmother was able to walk, not only not only shows her that there's a miracle that took place. It shows all the church members, the father who was maybe in disbelief, who walked out and was kind of getting leery and not in his belief. So sharing that revelation, when something good happens to you, you can't just keep it in. You have to share that with the world, just like you're sharing your dream.
Yes. But let me be clear. We were not in I guess, typical church setting. We were
Hmm.
college campus. It was just a bunch of, I guess it's what we can call people, a bunch of or
Hmm.
group of believers come together to worship. I guess you can call that a church. But it was
Yeah, I mean, I
literally
don't think you have to be. Go
in
ahead.
a
Sorry.
physical building. Yeah. It was literally in the middle of a college campus. Literally.
Mm,
Um but it was very impactful. I woke up like, oh, I need to write down the details of this dream because I think that this is clearly God telling me, like,
Mm,
don't get weary. If God has
mm,
do this, follow through with this, I am going to make sure you are. I don't have a better way to say this, but better than good. Because the grandmother was supposed to walk,
mm-hmm,
she was skipping. Like I turned
mm-hmm.
around and all I saw was her feet. She had on Crocs, like dark gray or olive color green, but Crocs. And this old woman was skipping and kind of like
Wow.
back and forth, and I was like, oh wow, my God. Okay, so it's like if God can do that, you know, he's capable of all things.
Mm, yeah, no, that's good. That's great. I think it speaks to the overflow, right? Like when you say, you know, would when you think of something like God dreams better, or I forget what the phrase is, but He goes abundant above and beyond
Mm.
like what you can think of. And then just again the fact that it was at a college campus, I mean, it just shows that it doesn't have to take place in a traditional church setting. Like you said, is wherever believers are gathered. Because
Mm.
when, not to uh, go deep in the Bible, but Jesus performed miracles. He wasn't like in a church. He was doing it around people who didn't believe, believers, non-believers.
Mm.
He was just going out performing these miracles. So I think your dream, kind of the girl who bore her grandmother, shows her speaking to the obedience of God, of like how you just, like you said in the scripture or in the sermon, you just follow through even when you're unsure of of everything that will follow. Like when you said God says move, you move, right? I'm not sure how you're gonna work this out, but I'm gonna go ahead anyway. Like I'm
Right,
just gonna go ahead and anyway and do what you said do, and yeah, and sharing that revelation with the world.
right. So that goes. We can tie that back to you. Your vision. You are in LA now. Well, not this present moment, but you moved from New York to LA, right? So God is not going to send you someplace to leave you alone and not,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, make you, I don't want to say make you whole, but make you better or to help you grow in some way to be a better person or better than however you've been. Um, but think about if you didn't go to LA and you still lived in New York, like what would be different in your life? What kind of challenges would that be, or what would you have going on? So it's very important to rise up. That's kind of what she was saying. So when you have this vision, to rise up and take it on head on and know that this is what you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
like the girl, what if she did? What if she said, "Oh, I know put my grandmother here," but didn't take her? You know, then she wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
God's calling, and then people that were there wouldn't have witnessed this miracle take place.
Yeah. She also talks about, I think, how, like you said, the girl, your dream, or well, two things. One, the girl and her taking her grandmother, like listening to God. Um, her vision of her grandmother walking, or having that vision, is more so a vision is not just a vision is access, right? It gives
Mhm.
you
Yes.
um it gives you a glimpse into what could be, right? And because you see that it could be, and knowing that God is all powerful, that vision is not just something that could happen. That's you receiving access. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
To what could happen in time. So it's like remembering, like, oh, okay, if I dream about something, if I think about something, that is not just me having a vision of what could be. That is me having access to what could be. So I am getting access to a miracle. Again, by you even sharing your dream, that is you saying that, listen, this is access to this, because by what they say, like life and death is in the power of the tongue. And then also, what you see, your eyes are like a mirror to the soul. So you don't necessarily have to see or have to have something happen to you. If you see something, that's like your soul receiving access to it, because now you see that it's possible.
Yes, yes, yes. Good point.
hmm So yeah, so just remembering that vision is really access, and that yeah, when you don't want to share, or when something good happens to you, that you have to share your revelation with the world, because that is how we all gain access to other miracles, to other things, to knowing that things are possible, by you telling the revelation of what happened to you. Yeah.
I'm thinking.
What?
No,
Yeah.
I'm trying. Something that I want to say. I kind of said it, but I'm trying to figure out the best way. I guess to articulate it, and it's more along the lines of you kind of said it with access, like access with the vision or being in presence. It gives access to, I guess, whatever your next. It gives you access to what could be your next step, right? And what she kind of, Sarah Jakes Roberts was saying was kind of like our family and your generations ahead, right? They were stuck in a place, like a forbidden place, because they did not know how to proceed forward. And if you're given this vision and you're giving this access, right? You following suit changes the trajectory of the next generations come behind you. And
hmm Oh yeah. Yes,
another
you will
thing,
break up the culture of the industry. You will break up the culture of your family.
so a lot of that is she kind of said you can't be afraid. You can't be tied up in discouragement and worry and being afraid and all of these negative kind of things that hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to release these things so that way you can carry forward to the next level where the generations before you was not able to carry you, or past where they were able to carry you. So that way change continues. Um, and you have to at all times believe that, not believe, no, I guess no is, I guess, stronger to me than believe. Know that God has you. You know, if he called you to it, he'll make sure that you're going to be good. I said it already, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know what it is, and not, it's not just you. I'm looking at it in terms of you, your kids, your grandkids, your
Mm-hmm.
great grands, that's going to change down the line because you had a vision and you followed through with it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody who you have access, anybody who you come across, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I think she had another sermon where she said, you know, you should be so rooted in God that when someone is seeking out God, they run into you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, so you should really be exuding that, essentially, like really walking that path. And kind of piggybacking off what you said about uh, God is going to show you how to do something. It's like God is giving you strategy. So even if you don't know how to do it, or you know what I mean, like you said, not being afraid to do something, like, oh man, I don't know how to do this, I can't figure this out. Like, how do I move, or how do I do what he's calling me to do? Because I've never done it before. So because I've never done it before, I don't know how to do it. Don't worry about that, right? Again, you had a vision, that's God giving you access. And once you move and step out on faith and show that you are being obedient, like the girl in your dream bringing her grandmother to church, I'm sure she wasn't sure everything that would transpire. I mean, not bringing her grandmother to church, bringing her grandmother with her to Clark or wherever. she wasn't sure of everything that would happen, but God gave her vision, which was him giving her access. That's access to a miracle even having the potential to take place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if you don't move on something or you don't act, then nothing's going to happen. If you stand still, nothing is going to happen. So you have to kind of take that leap of faith, move out, and then because you moved out on faith and you had access to it, now whoever has access to you, whoever you come in contact with, you're changing their lives also.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's that whole, one can chase 1,000 and two can chase 10,000. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, once you have once a miracle happens with you or I see God move through you, now I know that it's possible because I've seen it happen. Now I have access to it. I can do it. I move out on faith as well. And then it keeps multiplying because now whoever is connected to me should see God moving through my life by what I'm doing. So I'm being an example. I'm showing the revelation, sharing the revelation of what happened to me.
Something that I heard in another sermon by her, she actually said that sometimes we're called to do things and we feel unsure or uncertain, right? And and feel like we're not capable enough. So we sit to the wayside, step back, and let someone else do what we are called to do.
I'm
And
feeling attacked in these sermons, but go ahead.
don't. And
No, I'm kidding.
no, no. And when we do that, we're actually putting someone less capable than us
Mm,
in a position to do something that we were called to do, right? So
mm,
some of the things that she said in this back to the sermon is that when you pray, you ask God, you don't tell God how to handle or what to do. You ask God for insight, right? So like
it's good.
was I called to do this? What do you see in me that that
I don't see in
makes
myself.
I don't see it myself, right? That makes me capable
Mm,
for this. What do you see in me that like what are some of the strengths you see that I can lean on to help me get through this? Show me
mm,
what what you're seeing. Give me insight into what is happening within me to so that I can I don't know if it's feel more comfortable, but so that I can do this, you know?
no, that's great actually, and that's part of the sermon that I need to remember myself. Is
Mhm.
that she says that because back to what you said, she says like, you know, Peter feels like there's this space, and people feel like that there's this space between who I am and who I can become,
Mhm.
right? Like how do I fill the gap of that space? Like I want to do it, I have a desire to do it, but I don't know how to do it. So
Mhm.
how do I get there? How do I merge that? And I think what you said is perfect. Asking God for his insight. What do you see in me that I don't see, that I am not seeing, that I'm missing? Because obviously if you're calling me, if God is calling you to do something, then he is telling you that you're capable of doing what he has given you access, a vision to see. And it's like, man, well, if that's what he's saying, I don't know how to do it. And God is saying, like, just like you said, spend time with me because Sarah talked about how Peter went in his prayer closet,
Mhm.
right? And how he, really allowed himself time to spend with God so that he can hear God clearly, so he can, remove everything else, remove the noise, and really hear what God was saying. Um, kind of like you in your dream, right? Like that was God speaking to you when there was nothing else going on. So it's like he had your undivided attention because you're asleep. You don't have like, the distractions of the day there. So he made sure that he got it to you when you when you were in a place that you could receive it and without any distractions.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's good because I mean, honestly, I really forget that part to about asking God for His insight because there's like a ton of things that I think about and I'm like, oh, I should move on that, and it's so easy, just as humans to give into what did she say? She said God when God is calling Peter in a place of expansion, but it looks like but it actually looks like it's not expansion. It looks like it's detraction, right? So it doesn't look like expansion to him. It looks like, oh, you're me taking that move was really me moving backwards, right? Oftentimes, like I say with you, you know what I mean? I relocated, but I relocated from one space to another space that I don't like. It's like, oh, this is like smaller than what I came from. So
Hmm.
essentially, it looks like detraction. It looks like I gave up something because you said, like, oh, when you were in New York, think about when you were being in New York versus where you are now. And immediately when I do think about it, I'm like, man, but what I had in New York was more. That was greater in terms of material things,
Exactly.
right? And so for me, it looks like the move that I made to me looks like detraction. It looks like I have less than what I had before. And so that sermon actually reminds me like, oh, okay, it looks like it's detraction, but it's really expansion because you can't see everything that God is showing you or providing you in the immediate moment. He's all knowing, right? And everything happens in God's timing. So it's like, okay, you just keep moving. Like, I'm not ready, but I'm going. I don't have what I need, but I'm going. And so you just move out on what he tells you. And as time progresses, you see like, oh man, it was expansion and it was actually better than what I could have imagined. Like you said with the grandmother running, skipping instead of walking, like man, that's much better than just her moving or walking. She's
Hmm.
skipping. Like who would have thought, you know?
Right. Right. So that's just so God's plan is always bigger than what you imagine it to be.
Mm.
So at all times, you got to stay rooted in your faith.
Girl, let me root and ground myself, cause woo, the devil he's been busy. Cause I'm telling you, I literally forgot about that part about asking God for His insight. Cause I'm just like, this is not what I.
Yeah, but you're not alone in that. I think a lot of people go into prayer, asking God do. So I need. And what she kind of was saying is get into, I could be wrong with the words, but get into the spirit of who God is. And then you'll be able to understand and you'll have more insight on who you are, right? And that is
Mm,
going to help you get through whatever it is you need to do and go through and accomplish. And you will always be, you'll never be alone because he will always be with you through
mm,
the process.
mm. Yeah, that's that's true. He'll always be with you, and he provides strategy. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think some people feel like because they haven't they haven't received like knowledge or particular like words from like their parents or like teachers that they feel ill equipped to do
Mm-hmm.
something. And it's like, you feel, even though you feel ill equipped, when you move out on God's word, He's going to provide that strategy. He's going to give you everything that you need. I think Sarah talked about how, ooh, maybe Daniel? I don't know. Ooh, I can't remember.
Okay,
Who hit somebody with this?
before you get past that, let me mention this because you're kind of touching what I have
Yep.
on my tongue. It's not Daniel, but she
Mm-hmm.
said you're out here, you're calling your friends and your family for something that God already told you to do. You don't need
Mm,
counsel from your friend,
yeah,
auntie, and grandma,
that's true.
because
That's
God
true.
said so. God is the only counsel you need. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
anybody else's opinion because God didn't call them; they called you.
That's true.
So you have to be mindful in who you talk to
Mm,
and ask for advice in what you do, because they can say, "Oh, girl, that's dumb. You can't
mm-hmm.
do that." That
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Once the girl called her friend and she was like, "Girl, your grandmother can't walk. Why would you take her to a college campus? That don't
Yeah.
It wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened for it wouldn't have the miracle that happened wouldn't have happened." So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be mindful. And I kind of say this in other aspects too, but you have to be mindful of who you are talking to and who's
Mm-hmm.
advice you're taking and who you are allowing to lead you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That wrong counsel can take you out of God's will,
Mm-hmm.
put you further behind than
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to be. So
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't, basically, she said, don't call and ask for counsel for something that God
Yeah.
counsel you,
Yeah.
because that is the final say.
Yeah. Ooh, great point. Great point. Um, because sometimes people don't even mean you harm,
Yeah,
right? Like sometimes it'll be coming from, they feel like it's coming from a good place. But one, it could be rooted in their trauma that they're not, aware of. They're
mhm,
giving you advice based off their trauma. And then also, I mean, kind of being spiritual, you know, what we talked about before about like watching what you put out, watching what you say, like life and death is in the power of the tongue.
right.
Sometimes when you put stuff out, the devil is also around and he hears it,
Hmm.
and then you know he can get with you, and then when you're in your quiet time or when you're doing something else, make you doubt yourself.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's a great point. Sometimes you gotta just keep things to yourself and then just move out. Because I know there's been times even where I say something and people who mean me well are like, "Why would you do that? Like that doesn't make sense. It shouldn't. It doesn't have to make sense to you
Right.
because God didn't tell you. He told me."
Right.
And
Right.
so you have to remember that.
Right. Your journey is yours alone, and
Mm-hmm.
so um, I tell a lot of people this. So when you do, you can ask people whatever you want, right? For guidance, you can say whatever you want. But again, if God said do this, you make sure that's the route that you take. You're not asking or consulting in a way to make a decision. Maybe you need to talk to someone more spiritually sound, right? And see, how they can help you, or how maybe guidance on how to pray,
Mm-hmm.
if you're struggling with, actual action, right? But you shouldn't go against
Right.
what God is necessarily telling you to do, because you don't,
Right.
again, what is ahead that you're supposed to, what he's saving you from, it's so many different factors
Mm.
involved in that. And you definitely need to be careful on taking counsel. um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Good point. Bit of a testimony here. Um, so when you mentioned like moving to LA, so I relocated from New York to LA, and I had some issues with my car. Remember, like I had a car in New York. I was trying to get it shipped to LA because I had to have people watch my car. Because of course, if you have a car, you can't just let it sit still. Somebody needs to start it for you. Somebody should drive it. Because I was spending like months at a time in LA, and so I had somebody watching my car. I remember my car was getting tickets, and it got a boot, all this nonsense, like craziness. So eventually, I had my car shipped from New York to LA. Then I had months of trying to get my car registered in LA because in LA, unlike New York, um, they have like environmental factors that they care about. So you have to get like an air quality test done on your car. But in order to pass the air quality test, your car should have been driven for a couple of miles because to remove like the toxic fumes.
Let's be clear,
Well,
a couple miles.
yeah, went many miles. So it took me months to get my car registered. I want to say I shipped my car in January, and it took like until October to finally accumulate these miles for me to be home long enough to get it done. And I was so frustrated. At one point, I was gonna sell my car instead of shipping it. And then even when I got to LA, I was gonna like sell my car or just give the car away. I was getting like really frustrated and dealing with the car. Well, finally get my car registered in September actually. So it took like 9 months. Get my car registered. I get the car registered. The and the next month I finally have a chance to drive it. Right. Drove it somewhere, parked my car, went to New York for some business, a business trip, and my car got hit and totaled that same weekend that my car was like fully driven, fully like insured and everything. And I was pissed. I was like, damn, like I just got my car registered, like everything just happened with the car. Like, why would this happen now? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was super frustrated. And then, but everything uh was registered, like the car was official, like the car was in good standing, and I ended up like receiving the full value for the car, and it happened at the perfect time because go away to New York again, and I was gonna be gone from LA for like the next 3 months, so I would have had to put my car in storage, which would have cost me like 369, maybe $1,000 in total, just storing my car. So sometimes you don't know like God's plan. You can't see, what he sees, what he knows. And, I was frustrated, but at the end of the day, it actually worked out in my favor. So, you just
Yeah.
gotta move on what God says and see what happens.
And I think that sums up our episodes, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
We gotta move on our faith.
yeah, you have to move out on the faith of what God says, not just on your own,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
You can, nothing against that. I'm just saying that especially when God is in play, you just don't question it and you just push, push forward. Seek spiritual guidance from God
hmm
or insight from God. If you have any spiritual people in your life, then you discuss with them, how to remain faithful through your call. But that's it.
yep, yep. So, in the words of my good sis, Sarah Jakes Roberts, you know, um, now move out because because you have a community um, of people to change, right? Like you have to go out and share that revelation and share this video, share this content so that other people know that God is moving, that He's making changes, and that you know you have when you have a vision, it is providing you access. God will give you strategy. God will make a way, and that He knows, and that there's a bigger picture in play. So don't just think about what is in the immediate vicinity or like what is happening right now. You have to remember that there's a bigger picture, and God can see all of that.
I'm with you.